40 books. Hi guys, welcome to Book Time. My name's Julia. Today I'm going to be going over some stats from my 2019 reading year, as well as some of my goals, and also reflecting a little bit on how I went with my 2019 reading goals, which essentially was not very well, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. We're all growing, we're all on a journey. My first goal of 2019 was to read 50 books. I didn't. I read 49. Well, I finished 49, I should say. I probably started more than that, but that's okay. I'm a little bit sad about that, not because I care about the numbers, but because it's just the more books you read, the better it is, because you get to read more, because reading's great. Like, some people read 200 books a year. I literally don't understand how, but I also think that's so many more cool things and stories than I got to delve into. I didn't say that very well. I'm doing such a bad job, and I don't know why I'm pointing this at you all the time. So I'm still just going to aim for 50 this year, maybe 60. We'll see how I go. I've got a lot of things happening this year. I mean, everyone has a lot of things happening every year, but I've got to submit my PhD. I've got another project that I've got to keep on top of. I've got kids, there's a lot happening. So yeah, we'll see how I go, but the aim would be 50 or 60 for this year. Now to the stats. So of that 49, 40 were by women. So that's pretty good. That was 82% according to my calculations, which could be wrong because I'm not very good at maths. So that's good. I usually read more female than male authors, not even intentionally. I don't know how that happens, but that's just how it happens. Maybe it is a little bit intentionally, or at least it used to be, but I don't really think about it anymore. But yeah, I read lots of women writers. That's good. 5 of them were in translation, which is not a very high number. It's only 10%. Is it? So that's okay, because that's a lot more. I don't think the year before I read any books in translation, maybe 1 or 2. So I feel like that's a good improvement, and it's largely thanks to not Nonfiction November. What's the other one? Women in Translation Month. So yeah, I would like to keep increasing that number, because yeah, and it's good to read books in translation, read about other cultures other than mostly British and American and Australian. Now, the main problem I had with my writing this year was that I didn't read enough writers of colour. I read 7 books by writers of colour, 7 out of 49. That's not good enough. It's 14%, I think. So it's better than 2018, but it's still bad. So this year it's going to be 50-50. There's like minimum 50% writers of colour. There's no other option. Of that 49 books, 23 were from Australia, so that's 47%. Again, that's pretty standard. I read a lot of Australian novels. It's usually like of all the countries I read books from, that one is always the biggest percentage. So yep, that's cool. I like to support Australian literature. So 78% of the books I read were adult fiction. 22% were middle grade. Yeah, because I didn't read any other genres. I don't think so. Maybe I read like 1 YA. I read 38 novels that were fiction. I read 10 that were non-fiction. I read 1 that was poetry. So I would like to read more poetry, but I find poetry hard, and I know everyone says that, and it's not really a good excuse, because I would love to feel freer about approaching poetry. And by freer, I mean less, I don't know, it's like there's this pressure to understand it and get all this deep meaning from it, where I think, when I think about novels that I read that are complicated or don't always obviously make sense, or that I feel like I don't get, I sort of have this attitude of, well, just read it, take it at face value, and see what you get from it. And it makes it a very enjoyable, it often makes it a more enjoyable experience than if you're trying to find some deep meaning all the time. And I feel like it should be the same for poetry. You should just go, look, I don't necessarily know if I'm going to get some huge deep meaning out of this, but I'm just going to read it and enjoy it and think about it and see what I get from it. and I want to do that more. I do have some poetry collections, so hopefully I'll be able to get through those this year. Yeah, I don't know why I feel like readers put a lot of pressure on themselves to get poetry. Maybe because we rush through it too much. I don't know. Anyway, I like Jen Campbell's videos that she does about reading a poem and how to read a poem. I find those helpful and kind of, they take the pressure off a bit. If you haven't seen them, you should watch them. I'll link a couple down below. That was basically it. That's all my stats. I don't really have many. This is not an interesting video, and I just filmed a haul, which I also feel was not very interesting because generally I don't find... I find watching other people's hauls interesting, but I don't actually find making hauls that interesting because it's sort of like, here's a list of books I don't know much about because I haven't read them. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. I'm in a weird space. Maybe this will turn into a ramble video. Oh no, wait, I've got another page of notes of my goals. Okay, so here are my goals. Again, like I said, 50% minimum writers of colour. No negotiations there. Another one is to read more novels that read more books that I own, but previous to this year, than not just books that I'm buying, but I also read a lot of books from libraries and I borrow a lot of books from friends, which is great because it means I'm not spending money with the borrowing in the library, the borrowing from friends and libraries, but it does mean that I'm not reading books that I have bought already and have on my shelves. So I would really like to focus on reading more of my TBR. I think that's everyone's goal, let's be honest, but I am actually running out of bookshelf space, and even my husband's like, do we need more shelves? No, I think he said you need less books, and I was like, no, we need more shelves. But then I feel bad saying that because he actually built most of our shelves, so I feel like I'm saying, you need to make me more shelves. Anyway, again, turning into a ramble video. Weird space today. That's basically my goals. Another short video. Soz, not very interesting. Tell me what your goals are. Maybe I can think of some more interesting ones. Maybe I need to set some specific challenges for myself. I like those things like the Reading Women challenge. Not that, I mean, as I said, I read a lot of women writers, but I feel like those sorts of things could be good for reading books that you already own because it will give you a prompt to go, okay, this fits a prompt, I'll read it. Anyway, I'm gonna go now, and yeah, tell me what your goals are, what you're reading, all the usual stuff, and we'll chat soon. Bye.